From the moment I was able to form a thought, Kingdom Hearts 2 has been part of my life. Some of the earliest memories I have are of Kingdom Hearts 2. I have this one specific memory of me and my dad being like the only ones home because my brother and sister were at school and my mom was at work. I had the PS2 on and I was playing Kingdom Hearts 2, but I was extremely young, so all I was able to do was run around in that first spot as Roxas. I first got introduced to this game by my uncle. I remember me and my brother would watch him play while my grandma had to take care of us. You know, I was the younger brother, so I would watch my brother play Kingdom Hearts 2, and it wasn't until middle school where I would finally sit down and play it all the way through. You see, I tried in the past, but I didn't really get into video games until middle school, so yeah. I remember it was this one summer where I got Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 collection on the PS4, and I sat and completed every single game on there. After I did that, I went back to Kingdom Hearts 2 and played it on critical mode and beat it. Then I discovered the 13 organization fights and continued to play. Then I decided to get all of the chests and the crown pieces. Then I decided to max out to level 99. Then I decided to max out all of my dry forms. Then I found out about the lingering will. Needless to say, I kept finding reasons to come back to Kingdom Hearts 2. It turns out I will continue to play Kingdom Hearts 2 all the way up to last year. Then I started doing YouTube and decided to take a break, so when I eventually talk about Kingdom Hearts 2, it can feel fresh again. Now, of course, it wasn't the only game I played, come on guys, I'm not crazy, but I played the fuck out of this game. Enough to definitely say that Kingdom Hearts 2 is what I consider to be the greatest game of all time. This game is a part of my life, and I think it will continue to be. No matter how much I play it, I never get tired of loading up a new save file and experiencing the whole thing again. So I'm gonna do it all again. Yeah, I want to play it again, and this time why not tell all you wonderful people why this game is the most important piece of media in my life. That's kind of funny to say because this game is honestly ridiculous. In no world should Donald Duck and Sephiroth speak to each other, but I guess that's part of the magic. Whatever, let's just start. So we start by seeing these broken and distorted flashback scenes of Kingdom Hearts 1. We are then introduced to Roxas, who says,
"Another dream about him,"
letting us know that Roxas is also seeing those flashback scenes. We are then introduced to Hainer, Pince, and Olette, who are discussing the matter of the stolen pictures. Everyone thinks we did it, so we go talk to some residents to do a bit of damage control, aka we tell them we didn't do that shit. This is also where we're introduced to the basic controls, you know, basic shit like moving, jumping, and the lock-on feature, which all feel pretty good to control. After that, we go to confront the lamest squad known to man and fight their boss, Cypher. Here we get our first combat section of the game. Right now, the combat is super simple. We have like two basic combos, a 3-hit combo on the ground and a 3-hit air combo. As the game progresses, I will go into the different combos we unlock. After we win the fight, our first enemy of the game appears, a nobody. It steals a photo Pince took of us, so we chase it through the forest into the old mansion yard area. Roxas tries to hit it, but this weak-ass weapon does no damage. That weak-ass weapon turns into a Keyblade, and that's when we are finally able to do some damage. This is also where we get to do our first reaction command. Now this is something that Kingdom Hearts 2 loves. I won't lie, I also love the reaction commands. They're not hard to pull off in the slightest, but they can lead to some pretty cool and flashy moves. We get the pictures back, do some dumbass jobs so we can go to the beach, but Roxas gets robbed by this hooded guy, so no beach for these guys. Next day, Roxas meets a pretty important figure, Naminé. Naminé is someone who has the power to alter people's memories. Right now, she's in the process of restoring Sora's memories because of the events of Castle Oblivion. We follow her to the old mansion, but we get ambushed by some nobodies. One of them attacks Roxas and our screen fades into black. That's when we're taken to the place Sora was at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. Now, I've always loved the atmosphere of this place. I don't know what it is, but I just love it. The stained glass floors with some absolutely beautiful artwork. The way the floors are just giant pillars that are connected by stained glass stairs with just a black void in the background, all accompanied with that song that just fits perfectly. Another great touch is that the artwork on the floors are all of Sora, further implying that Roxas and Sora have a connection. The first thing we see in this area is a sword, shield, and wand. This is where we're given a choice that will affect the rest of our playthrough. Basically, we can choose to prioritize our attack damage, our defense, and our magic. The sword represents attack damage, the shield represents defense, and the wand represents magic. I chose the sword for this playthrough. We also open our first chest and get our first item of the game, which is a potion. Items will play a pretty big part in this game, but I will go into more detail the more items I get. So for now, just know potions give you health. We also get our first ability. Now abilities are your best friend in this game. The way they work is you get a certain number of ability points. These points will determine what and how many abilities you can equip. What I have is still very simple since we are in very early game here, but yeah, later I will explain more of the moves I get. We walk towards this door and this is where we have our first real boss fight. I love this boss fight. It's obviously very easy, but that didn't take away from the overall spectacle of this fight. It starts by hanging us up in the air and we're not able to move. We're only able to wait and see what the boss is going to do next. This is where reaction commands during a boss fight come in. Gameplay wise, you really are just pressing triangle, but the cutscenes that play make the boss fights way more cinematic and it really just makes you feel badass. After a very cinematic opening, we knock him down and get ready to really fight him. These sections are also fun because it gives you a feel for what's to expect when fighting the big monster bosses. Anyway, we defeat him and we are back to the real world. The next day is the struggle tournament. The way the struggle matches go is pretty simple. Roxas and his opponent start off with orbs. Hit the other person and he will drop orbs, letting you collect them, but getting hit makes you drop orbs. Whoever has the most amount of orbs when the timer ends, or if you get all 200 orbs, then you win the match. And that's basically it. We beat Hayner and Vivi, then time freezes and we're introduced to another important character. Axel. I will talk about Axel as a character later on, but for now, let's talk about his boss fight. His boss fight isn't anything too special, but you can tell he's definitely holding back and we can expect more from this character. After this boss fight, Diz shows up to stop Axel and claims that Axel is lying, but Axel is also telling Roxas that Diz is telling lies, causing Roxas to freak out and yell, and now everything is back to normal. We win the tournament and go celebrate on the top of the clock tower. I don't know if Roxas was drinking cause he falls off the damn clock tower, but something interesting happens. Roxas is able to contact Kairi. Before this, Kairi was talking about how she can't seem to remember who Sora is. Roxas talks to Kairi, but then his voice switches out with somebody else's. That someone else is Sora, and with that convo, Kairi is able to remember who Sora is. We are then given our first look at Organization 13. We see this hooded figure giving Axel the order to eliminate Roxas. Axel is hesitant to do this, but the other hooded figure threatens Axel, so he has no choice but to fulfill his order. Next day, Roxas does some more bullshit like investigating the 7 wonders for a dumbass school project. They're all fake, so Roxas goes to investigate the last one, which is the old mansion. Here we have a conversation with Naminé and she tells Roxas he's a nobody and he was never meant to exist. Next day, we get this interesting parallel of Sora and Roxas. Roxas does what he normally does and goes talk to his friends, but then no one can hear or see him. It's almost like Roxas doesn't even exist. As we leave, Axel confronts Roxas, and just as he's about to attack, Axel gets frozen and a voice tells us to head to the mansion. Twilight Town as we know it is completely different. There's no more NPCs walking around, only nobodies who are out to get us. The music is completely gone, the only sound being our footsteps. We enter the mansion and walk into Naminé's room. Roxas gets a headache and we get a flashback of Roxas's final moments of being in the organization. We also get our first look at what Organization 13 wants to accomplish, which is wanting Kingdom Hearts. Naminé shows up again and we have a convo about the past life of Roxas and how he and Axel were best friends. Diz shows up to make sure Naminé doesn't tell us any more info about our past lives, and before she disappears, she tells us not to worry, we'll be whole again. Roxas enters this room with a computer and we get another flashback of Roxas getting transported to this digital world. Yeah, the whole Twilight Town we were in and everybody in it was just a digital copy of the real world, meaning the life Roxas thought he had was all fake. The reason he was brought there in the first place was to hide him from the organization while Diz, the hooded figure who was revealed to be Ansem, and Naminé restored Sora's memories. Sora's in a deep sleep right now and he's waiting to wake up. Anyway, Roxas smashes this computer out of rage, then heads to the next room. In this room, Axel shows up and we are again given one of the best fights. Axel has come to terms with his order to destroy Roxas, aka his best friend. He sets the room on fire, and this is when Roxas pulls out two absolutely beautiful keyblades. Roxas is the first character to do this, and man, this is such an iconic moment. This fight is amazing. Axel starts by turning the floor on fire. We do our first dual keyblade combo and get a taste of the cool shit we get to do while in dual keyblade mode. After our first combo, we get a reaction command that just spices up the fight. Axel then jumps into the fire and we have to wait for him to do his move and do another reaction command letting us do another combo. And that's the fight. This was the perfect final fight for Roxas, from a narrative and gameplay aspect. My only complaint is that it's too fucking short. Anyway, Roxas enters the hallway and sees a sleeping Donald and Goofy. He enters this white room with a single pod in it. Roxas tries to argue with Diz that he is in fact his own person and he is meant to exist, but it's all meaningless. The pod opens, revealing Sora inside. Roxas says one final line.
You're lucky. Looks like my summer vacation is over.
And his journey in this world comes to an end. All of this was the tutorial for this game. I know a lot of people complain that it's too long, but I think the prologue is amazing. I can see why it can be confusing, especially if you went from Kingdom Hearts 1 straight to 2, you know, with the whole Sora being asleep thing, but what can you do? This is Kingdom Hearts, every game matters. Now, I think the mystery with Roxas is great. Roxas is a pretty important character. I mean, he is Sora's nobody. Seeing all this weird shit happen to him is interesting, then once you figure out what everything meant, it makes this such a sad story. Roxas is my favorite character, so I might be a little biased, but I don't care. I love this tutorial. It does a good way of setting the stage for what to expect with Kingdom Hearts 2. Anyway, the trio is back. Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Sora's time in Twilight Town is short. He kinda just goes to the station so he can leave. He does get ambushed by nobodies, which is Sora's first time encountering these new types of enemies. He fights until he is physically unable to, but he's saved by none other than Mickey. Mickey tells them to board the train, so they do. Sora is a little too emotional leaving this town, like he barely spent any time here and he had like 2 convos with Hayner, Pince, and Olette, so there's really no reason for him to be sad, but it's because of Roxas and his memories. We get a cutscene of Ansem letting Naminé and Axel go free instead of getting rid of them like Diz wanted. Before we move on, I want to briefly talk about Twilight Town. Twilight Town is a great world. The environment has a cozy feel to it. The colors used are warm and the music gives this town a unique feel to it. My personal favorite spot is here. Anyway, Sora, Donald, and Goofy arrive at this mysterious tower. As the trio goes to enter the tower, we are introduced to Pete. Pete is a goofy ass villain and I think he's great. Somehow this absolute goofball is able to control Heartless, but it's really because of his connection with Maleficent. So Pete sent Heartless inside the tower to turn the guy who lives there into a Heartless. Who lives there, you might ask? It's Yen Sid. And if you watched my Kingdom Hearts 3 video, you should know that these beepy ass Heartless ain't gonna touch this dude. Yen Sid explains what the nobodies are. Basically, when you die in the Kingdom Hearts universe, you get split into 2, a Heartless and a nobody. Nobodies are just an empty shell. They don't have hearts or feelings, they only pretend to have those to manipulate people. There are 2 classes of nobodies. The lesser nobodies lose their human form and are controlled by the upper nobodies. The upper nobodies are stronger, smarter, and they keep their human form. Axel, Naminé, and Roxas are some of these upper nobodies. Some of these upper nobodies got together and formed the group Organization 13, the main threat of the game. Yen Sid informs the trio of what they have to do, which is to stop Organization before they accomplish their goal, which is unknown to everyone in the game. After this, we go into the other room where the 3 fairy godmothers give us some new clothes, and let me tell y'all, this is peak character design. This outfit is fire. But looks aren't the only thing this outfit is. It also got some powers, aka dry forms. I love dry forms. This is one of the best power-ups in any game I've played. There are 5 in total, and I'm going to go over every single one as I get them, so for now, I'll just go over Valor form. This is our 2 Keyblade mode, and this one prioritizes combos. and how many hits you can pull off. You get one ground combo and one air combo, but this time you can mix it up with square, allowing you to pull off more hits. You also get a higher jump while in Valor form. Valor form can get upgraded, but you don't upgrade it just by defeating enemies and gaining experience. That method will only level up your base form. Instead, you level up Valor form by the number of times you hit an enemy. So don't try to defeat the enemies in the fastest way possible. Instead, try out different combos to get a lot of hits in. The basic combos will give you a lot of hits because of the 2 Keyblade mode. These moves just look and feel so damn good to pull off. Also, when you upgrade Valor form, you'll gain the high jump ability. Each dry form has a unique ability that adds to the way you move. I'll go over each one when we get there. Well, all of them except one, anti-form. Now, I don't know if this is considered its own dry form, but I'ma count it as one. Anti-form is the result of overusing drive. Yeah, it's a punishment to make sure you don't abuse the drive system, which I think is pretty cool. Well, looking wise, the combos look cool, but they aren't really that practical. Anyway, yeah, the trio got their goal to find Mickey and Riku. They hop in the gummy ship and go to a familiar world, which is Hollow Bastion. If you played Kingdom Hearts 1, you may notice that Hollow Bastion is looking a little different this time around. There's actual people living here again. Sora meets back up with the Final Fantasy gang, then Leon tells him to meet him over at the Bailey. But before we head there, Merlin shows up and gives us magic. Magic is another form of attack that you can mix up with your combos. The way magic works is pretty simple. You have an MP bar next to your health. When you use magic, the MP bar goes down, and when you run out, it has to reload before you can use magic again. The item called Ether will restore your whole MP bar if you use it while having some, but if it's reloading, then Ether will just shorten the time to reload. The only magic we have right now is Blizzard. Blizzard is pretty straightforward, it's just a straight shot. We'll eventually get more types of magic as we play, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. We meet up with Leon and he shows us the big problem they are facing, and yeah, that looks pretty damn bad. Not only is there a big ass swarm of Heartless, but nobodies are also getting into the mix. A voice talks to us and sends an attack on the gate. Sora and Leon team up to defend this gate. This part was challenging to me as a kid, and honestly every time I replay this I still get nervous, but honestly there's no reason to. This part isn't hard, just utilize your magic and use some reaction commands, especially with these samurai nobodies. Completing this fight gives us fire. The way fire works in this game is very different from Kingdom Hearts 1. Sora surrounds himself with a mini circle of fire, damaging any enemy that's near you. This is a great ability to utilize while fighting. Anyway, the organizations show themselves to Sora, and I think the game did a pretty good job in making these people mysterious and threatening at the same time. They basically show up just to fuck with Sora, and this one references Roxas, which totally confuses Sora. Sora seals this keyhole thing, and we head out to our next world, which is Land of Dragons. But before we do that, we have our first gummy ship section. Now, the gummy ship has always had a pretty bad rap, and I'll admit it, it's not the funnest thing in the world, but trust me when I say that Kingdom Hearts 2 gummy ship section is a huge step up in quality from Kingdom Hearts 1. These are fast paced, you're always in the action, and they do a good job of just keeping things moving, because the Lord knows the one in Kingdom Hearts 1 lasted a long time. What also helps is that you only have to do these one time for each world and you're good to go, so yeah, it ain't bad. Okay, now we go to the Land of Dragons. This is our first Disney world of the game, and it takes place in the world of Mulan. Now this basically follows the plot of the movie with Sora, Donald, and Goofy added in it, so I'll keep the world story a little brief. The trio meet Mulan and Mushu. Mushu and the trio know each other already because Mushu was a summon in the first game, so that's a nice little touch. We get the whole Mulan pretending to be a boy to join the army thing, then we head to the army registration. We then have to do 4 different missions to prove to the captain that Mulan is worthy of being a soldier. Mission 1 is pretty straightforward, just go take out the Heartless and you're good to go. The second mission is the same thing, but this time, the horse thing is here, and let me tell y'all, he can be trouble for newcomers cause he honestly still gives me a little trouble, but nothing too serious. The third mission switches things up and we have to look for the Heartless. The catch being our moral bar. We had this for the other 2 missions, but you'll hardly notice it with those. But with mission 3, it adds a level of anxiety as you search for these Heartless while also looking at your moral bar slowly going down. The last mission is us clearing a path for the captain and his soldiers. This is a pretty fun set piece because you use reaction commands to break these rocks while also fighting or avoiding these Heartless. It's honestly pretty exciting, I like it. The main villain guy, I forgot his name because he's kind of boring, not gonna lie, burns the village down, so we go to this mountain place and he sends a heartless army on us. This is also a pretty cool set piece. We kinda just have to wait the timer out while trying to survive the heartless swarm. It's nothing too hard, trust me. Mulan does the whole shooting the rocket, causing a glacier, and taking out the main bad guy thing, then the captain finds out Mulan is a girl, so we're kicked out of the army. Bad guy isn't dead, so we rush to the capital and fight the main villain guy. This boss fight is pretty good. He sends Heartless to attack the gate, so we fight him, his dumbass bird, and a wave of Heartless while protecting the gate. Honestly, it's kinda easy. His desperation move isn't anything too hard, and his reaction command is pretty cool. We also have limits now. Limits are a special move we can perform with our party members. The one we have now is Red Rocket, and it can only be performed with Mulan. This limit move is a pretty good source of damage, and they look flashy as hell, which I love, but the catch is that they take all of your MP bar. Anyway, we defeat the boss and save China, and that's the land of dragons. We also get a new Keyblade. Different Keyblades will be gained as we play the game. Each Keyblade has a different stat, making every Keyblade unique. For now though, we have this one, and it just upgrades our magic. Anyway, time for our next world, which is Beast Castle. We arrive and wander through the halls when we hear a familiar roar. We go to this room and meet Beast, but he does not remember us from the first game, and he does this bullshit.
Just in time! Wah!
We meet Belle, who tells us that Beast has been acting a little weird. Jeez, you don't say, dude. Anyway, we gotta go save the servants that the Beast locked up in the basement. It is here that we run into a mini-boss, the Double Door Heartless guy. That's definitely his official name, trust me guys. This fight is pretty good. It's also my first death of this playthrough. I might have died, a lot. So this boss can't move, like he's literally a door, but he ate the gum fruit and has stretchy ass arms that cover a good portion of the arena. He also summons some Heartless, so gotta watch out for them. Doorman has 2 health bars. The first is when he's in door mode. Once this depletes, we hit a reaction command that releases his black ball, aka his true form. He doesn't attack us, so we can get a couple of combos off before he returns to door mode. Rinse and repeat until you win. Also, dying on some bosses will give you a second chance in the form of Mickey. Yeah, Mickey is badass and he's hella fun to play with, but I don't like using him because it feels kind of cheap, so yeah, I used him this one time for footage, then revived Sora and purposely died. Honestly, there was really no reason for me to die this much, but I'ma blame it on being underleveled and not using Valor form. Anyway, with this boss done, we're able to free the servants. We make our way to Beast Castle so we can calm his ass down. Turns out the reason he's being such an ass is because there's an organization member influencing his whole thought process. We then fight Beast with the help of Clock Guy. This little fight is pretty simple. We can use Clock Guy to stun Beast and get some damage in, then do a reaction command and shoot some light orbs at him. Now the Beast is back on our side, so let's go talk to Belle so they can make up and shit. Well, Belle got taken by the organization member whose name is Zaldin. The final boss is honestly pretty damn good. He has 2 forms, the first being this ball looking one. In this form, he really only has like 4 attacks that are pretty easy to deal with. His second form is way more interesting, especially design wise, like this motherfucker looks cool as hell. The reaction command where we swing him around with the chandelier will always be cool to me. But yeah, that's basically it for the Beast Castle. Our next world is the Colosseum, but before we head there, the gummy ship moves on its own and takes us to Hollow Bastion. Also, we got a new spell and it's Cure. Cure is definitely gonna come in clutch. The way it works is pretty different from the first game, aka it doesn't let you spam it. Instead, using it once takes up all of your MP bar no matter how upgraded it is. I like the newer way because it really makes you think and strategize when to use it. It's like you can either use a potion that takes longer to heal and is limited, or you can use up all of your MP and use Cure. Anyway, we see Merlin on the ground dead, but not really because some Heartless attacked. Merlin called us here to show us that he found the Winnie the Pooh book, so we go check up on him, but we're thrown out. We're getting attacked by some Heartless and they steal the book's pages, making Pooh have amnesia. So the 100 Acre Woods is an optional world, and the way you unlock more story for it is finding the missing pages scattered throughout the worlds. Once I gather them all, I'll come back and talk about the 100 Acre Woods. We also get our first summon. Summons let us summon a Disney character and use a special move on our enemies. Now, I really don't use these. I don't know, they're cool, don't get me wrong, but they're really not worth using in my opinion because they take up the drive bar, and I'd rather use my drive bar on actual drives. Anyway, now let's go to the Colosseum. So we land in hell and see Meg in trouble. She wants us to go talk to Hades so Hercules can have a break or something, so we make our way to him. So the underworld adds a bit of a spin to what we're used to by making us unable to use our drives. I think this adds a nice little shakeup to things. Also, the organization is here, but this time the member they sit is a bit of a coward. Pete and Hades are plotting against Hercules and they come up with a plan to resurrect someone to fight him. This someone is Orin and he's a pretty cool Final Fantasy character. The trio shows up to basically tell Hades to stop being a bitch, but we spoke too highly, forgetting that this is his turf, aka we can't hurt him, so we have to run. This section is pretty tense since we have a boss after us that we can't hurt. There are 4 areas we have to clear enemies of in order to escape. On critical, this can be a challenge, but it's mainly because of these Lance Heartless. If you're not careful, they'll mess you up pretty bad. After we escape, the fun doesn't end. Our final obstacle is Cerberus. The Cerberus boss fight is okay. He has some pretty basic attacks and they made him smaller than in the first game and it kind of takes away from the fight, not gonna lie. It's not bad at all, it is a solid fight. Anyway, Hades kidnaps Meg, so we gotta go back to the underworld and save her. While on our way, we run into an organization member, which is Demyx. He calls us Roxas and tells us to come back to them, really confusing Sora. After that, we're given a taste of the Demyx fight. We're introduced to the fucking water clones. We have to take out 100 in a certain amount of time, and if we don't, we fail the fight. I won't talk about this too much, but just know, this is hinting at one of the more frustrating fights of the game. Alright, time to save Meg. This set piece is our first Pete fight, and I just love how goofy this motherfucker is. He throws fucking marbles on the floor as an attack, like, okay. The main threats here are the Heartless, Meg's damage meter, and the time limit in the second phase. So first phase is protecting Meg and second is teaming up with Hercules to defeat Pete before the whole place collapses. Since Hercules came to help us, it allowed the Hydra to totally fuck shit up. The Hydra is our final boss for this world and it's great. We team up with Meg, Pegasus, and Phil. Phil helps us by breaking the Hydra's back. Pause. Meg helps us by throwing healing and drive orbs, and Pegasus lets us do this cool ass reaction command. The Hydra starts with 1 head and we quickly cut it off, then he grows 2 more. After we cut all 3 down, he grows even more, and I remember feeling hopeless fighting this boss as a kid. It was great. But yeah, that's it for this world. On to the next, which is Disney Castle. We arrive at Disney Castle and Heartless are everywhere. That's bad because this world has something called the Cornerstone of Light, and it's supposed to make it to where Heartless can't even be on the world. Anyway, we meet up with Minnie Mouse and escort her to the Cornerstone of Light. This part is cool because it sees us teaming up with Minnie Mouse, and honestly, why isn't she part of the squad? Like, bruh, are y'all seeing her power? So the cornerstone thing is surrounded by thorns, and this happens to be Maleficent's work. We go get Merlin to see if he can help, and he summons this door that takes us to one of the most unique worlds in Kingdom Hearts. Timeless River. Okay, well, it's unique aesthetic wise. The actual world is honestly nothing too special. We start by beating up old Pete for no reason, like at all. He's actually a pretty cool dude. So some Heartless go into 4 separate areas and we gotta take them out. I honestly wish these areas were put into the world better instead of, just being a magical door. Taking out the Heartless aren't too bad except for this one in the burning building. Those fucking car Heartless are no joke, y'all. So old Pete mentioned that someone stole his boat, so to say sorry for beating his ass, we decide to help him get it back. Turns out Pete from present time is the one fucking everything up, aka he's stealing the Cornerstone of Light. This fight is okay. We have to hit whatever Pete throws at us back at him until he knocks out. That's when we climb this thing and just hit the box until we free it. Pete runs off somewhere and we chase him down and we have the real Pete fight. This one is honestly great. As we're fighting Pete, he'll do this goofy ass transition things and we're taken across the world. This is honestly a perfect fight to be the final Pete fight. Anyway, we seal the door and Disney Castle is restored back to normal. Finishing this world gives us our second dry form, Wisdom form. This form is all about magic. Sora floats around and the ability we get in this form is Quick Step. Wisdom form is upgraded by how many times we hit an enemy with magic. Also, using magic is such a treat in this form. For our basic attack, Sora shoots magic out of his Keyblade, which is great for long range combat. Our next 2 worlds are Port Royal and Atlantica. Port Royal takes us to the world of Pirates of the Caribbean. We see Pete and Barbossa planning some evil shit. So this world is a little more difficult because of the pirate gimmick. You can only hurt the pirates if they're standing in the moonlight, and these damn pirates hit hard. There's like 3 types, 2 attack close and 1 shoots his crossbow at us. These pirates are especially difficult if you don't know that their weakness is magic, which I didn't growing up, meaning this world was a pain in my ass. Depending on what magic you use on them, it'll affect them in a different way. Like thunder makes them move slow, blizzard freezes them, and fire makes them run like a maniac. Elizabeth gets taken by Barbossa and Will is gonna go get her, but he asks for help from Captain Jack Sparrow. Sora Sora, Donald, and Goofy join Jack's crew and we arrive to the island where Barbossa is. We have to hold off these pirates for a minute while Will shoots the signal so we can escape with Elizabeth. Jack is missing, aka he got captured. We have to fight off the pirates on our ship while protecting the gold medallion, which I always forget about. So I'm just there beating up pirates forever because they'll keep spawning in if you lose the medallion. After all that, we also get captured. We hit these barrels off our ship and now we gotta go defeat Barbossa. Pete helps Barbossa by giving him this Heartless that makes the arena go dark. I have no idea why this boss always sticks out to me. I just think the whole sword fighting a pirate thing is pretty cool. Taking out the Heartless will give light to the arena, letting us properly fight Barbossa. Jack kills him and that's it for Port Royal. On to the next world, which is Agrabah. We start by having to go to the palace and meet up with Princess Jasmine, who informs us that Aladdin has been acting all weird and shit. So the trio go and meet up with Aladdin, who is chasing Abu's thief ass. They catch him and we talk to the shop guy because the lamp that Abu stole is actually the lamp that Jafar is in, so yeah, we don't want that getting into the wrong hands. Like Pete's bitch ass. Shop guy wants hella money for it, and instead of asking the royal palace for money to buy the lamp that contains the literal guy who threatened the royal family, we go to the Cave of Wonders to take some treasure. We enter the treasure room and of course Pete is here and turns the room dark and sends some damn Heartless on us. We also accidentally revealed that the shop guy has Jafar's lamp, so yeah, Pete is finna try to go get that hoe. After this goofy ass chase scene, Pete gets the lamp but Genie comes back and now it's boss time. We actually have to fight two bosses at the same time. One is fire and the other is ice. After a certain amount of hits, they'll turn into these lesser Heartless. Take them out and they'll go back to normal. Our next world is Halloween Town. We see Jack discovering Christmas Town, then we see him doing a Halloween Christmas. Okay, so before we continue, I want to show y'all this footage of how our combos have evolved from the start of the game. Here you can see that we do way more hits and I actually got this pretty strong finisher if I press square. Anyway, Maleficent is here and she's doing some evil shit, aka she brought Oogie Boogie back. The three dumbass annoying kids are up to no good, so we go catch them and now we gotta fight this Heartless. This mini boss eats kids. Nah, like actually, he eats kids and gets power from that. Maleficent has created a real creep. All of this was a distraction though, cause Oogie Boogie captured Santa and now we gotta go save him. Yeah, the Oogie Boogie fight is honestly a little weak. It's really just a big gimmick. We have to press triangle to hit these presents on his platform until his glass thing breaks, letting us get a certain amount of hits in before he becomes invincible and we have to do the whole thing again. At the same time, however, we're on a conveyor belt that's pushing us towards spikes and Oogie keeps throwing different obstacles that we have to avoid. Honestly, losing this fight is really annoying because of how time consuming it is. But anyway, yeah, that's Halloween Town. We also got a new form of magic called Magnet. This is a big ass thing that gathers all the enemies into that area. Like a magnet. Next, we're taken to the Pride Lands. Well, Sora is now a lion. The hyenas ambush us and get ready to have some lion meat. Pause. But Scar does a roar, so they gotta leave us alone. The absolute nightmare fuel that's known as Lion Pete is here and is plotting with Scar. We escape and get an ability called Dash. Dash is a Lion Sora ability only and lets you go hella fast and sorta drift around. This move honestly makes Lion Sora really fun to use cause Lion Sora doesn't have any drive forms, you can't use all of your abilities, so it makes Lion Sora a little simple to play. We finally meet back up with our boy Simba and he's kinda being a bitch and doesn't want to go whoop Scar's ass and get the throne back. He has that vision of his dad and changes his mind. We go with Simba to fight Scar and the hyenas, but the hyenas really want to just eat, so we gotta protect Pumbaa while fighting all three at the same time. Simba wins his fight with Scar, but Lion Pete resurrects Scar as a Heartless, so we jump in to help. I like this fight cause Scar actually turns into a Heartless. We also hear how Pete and Maleficent try to turn different Disney characters into Heartless, so it's actually pretty cool to see them actually succeed. The fight from a gameplay standpoint ain't nothing special. Not saying it's a bad fight, but it's just not the best. Anyway, Simba is now king of the Pride Lands. We're able to go to Twilight Town now, and when we do, we're greeted to Vivi in a panic saying there's trouble. The trouble he speaks of is nobodies. Now the nobodies are becoming a much bigger threat. They are getting stronger and hitting harder. Like these fucks. You gotta be careful. This hooded guy is looking for Axel because Axel has gone rogue now and is a problem for Organization 13. The hooded guy reveals himself to be Sayax, and before he leaves, he says an interesting sentence.
Sora, you just keep on fighting those Heartless.
He then implies that Riku has been dealt with, further manipulating Sora. Pin shows up and asks if we know anyone named Kairi. Sora gets hyped to hear her name, and Pence is like, oh cool, then come to the station, giving Sora hope that Kairi is here. Yeah, Pence is an asshole. He told Sora to come to the station like she was there, but he literally saw her get kidnapped by Axel, so I don't even know why he told us to go. Anyway, yeah, Kairi is now missing too. Axel takes Kairi because he plans to turn Sora into a Heartless so Roxas can come back into existence. There's an interesting cutscene where we see Sora witnessing a memory of Roxas. See, this game is making sure that we don't forget about Roxas. I love these sort of parallels between Sora and Roxas and seeing the different organization members confuse Sora by calling him Roxas. We get a new drive form that was actually not in the OG Kingdom Hearts 2 game. It's just one of the many features that were added in the final mix version. This form brings in Kingdom Hearts 1 moves. You get the combos from the first game and you can use 4 of the special moves. This form also doesn't take Donald or Goofy to use, meaning in one-on-one fights you can still use this drive form. The movement ability you gain is dodge roll, and man, it's good to have it back. The way you upgrade this form is by hitting the enemy with one of those 4 special moves. So we have to go back to Hollow Bastion and see what's going on. Heartless are absolutely everywhere. Not only Heartless, but Nobody's too, so yeah, it's not looking good in Hollow Bastion. We meet up with Leon and he takes us to none other than Ansem's computer. Donald steps on the computer, pissing it off so much that it transports us into the world inside the computer. We are taken to Space Paranoid. We also get a new look, and honestly, Sora looks fire as fuck. Sark appears and shows us that he is, in fact, the big boss of the computer world place and places us under arrest. That's where we meet the man himself, Tron. Yeah, Tron is also in jail and informs us that we're actually on a death sentence, which is wild. Like, all Donald did was touch a keyboard. Obviously, we're not just gonna sit here and wait to die, so we power up this door and get the hell out of jail. Tron tells us that he needs a password so he can get all of his abilities and strength back. We ask him who has the password and he tells us Ansem does. That's a problem because we kind of faded him out of existence back in Kingdom Hearts 1. All hope isn't lost because we know where Ansem's room is. We search it up and eventually find the password where Mickey shows up in the most ridiculous way possible. I think this image perfectly sums up Kingdom Hearts. God, I love this game. Our conversation with Mickey is cut short because shit is going down in Tron, so we gotta hurry and give him the password. But before we do that, we are given another drive form, Master Form. Now, Master Form is a force to be reckoned with. This form uses both Donald and Goofy, meaning it's a combination of Valor and Wisdom form. It's honestly a combination plus some. The combos are like anything we haven't seen in any of the previous drive forms. We also don't have to choose if we want to prioritize physical combat hits or magic based combos. The ability we add to our movement is Air Dodge, which is essentially double jump. The way we upgrade these drive forms is by collecting the orbs that fill up our drive gauge when defeating enemies. When we go back to Space Paranoid, we are immediately taken to the bike section and oh my goodness, this shit always gives me trouble. While on the bike, we are constantly moving and we have 3 moves we can perform. An attack with our Keyblade, a charge attack that's infinitely better than the Keyblade attack, and we have guard. When we are ready to turn a corner, we have to press L1 or R1 to turn. Now the fucking Heartless hit hard on critical, so you kinda have to play perfectly here or you're dead. After all this, we give Tron the password and we have to fight off some Heartless while the computer thing does whatever it needs to do. Now the final objective is to beat this corrupted Heartless thing. So this boss's gimmick is the orb meter. When you hit him, the orbs will fall, and if you fill up the meter, you'll be able to perform a reaction command that freezes him. And with that, we are done with Space Paranoid. We get back to the real world and continue our convo with Mickey. Mickey drops an absolute bombshell on us, explaining that the Ansem we fought in Kingdom Hearts 1 wasn't the real Ansem. Alright, let me try to explain. So there's this blonde hair guy whose name is Ansem the Wise. He has an apprentice named Xehanort. Xehanort wanted to do a lot of experiments involving the heart, but Ansem the Wise shut them down. Xehanort didn't like that, so some shit happens. He now goes by the name Ansem, and then he kinda game ends himself in the Kingdom Hearts way and is split into 2. He has a Heartless and a Nobody. His Heartless is the Ansem we beat in Kingdom Hearts 1, and his Nobody is the leader of Organization 13, Xemnas. While we're talking, Hollow Bastion is under attack. We're talking an all-out Heartless and Nobody attack. The Heartless and Nobody are fighting each other until Maleficent orders her Heartless on us, so now they're ganging up on us. On our way to help Leon and the Final Fantasy crew, we run into Sephiroth himself. They cooking up something, let me just tell y'all that right now. We get a glimpse of just how huge the Heartless army is, then Mickey tells us to leave, but of course we don't listen and go help the others. We then see this hooded figure do this long ass walk and then enters a room with a suit of armor. Then the hooded man says,
"It has been far too long friend.
Now, if you played Birth by Sleep, you'll know exactly what this scene means, and oh my goodness, my mind was blown when I put 2 and 2 together. On our way to meet up with the Final Fantasy gang, we run into Dimix. If you played this game as a kid, then you know the deal with the Dimix boss fight. This fight is what I consider the first real boss fight that's gonna give you trouble. It's not really his moveset or anything, it's his gimmick, the Dance Water Dance move. This is where most people will lose. You are given a timer while Dimix spawns these water clone things. You have to defeat them before the timer runs out, or you just lose the fight. We defeat Dimix, then Goofy fucking dies.
Look out!
We take out our anger on the Heartless in the most badass way possible. We team up with the different Final Fantasy characters, and it is just so cool to team up with them and finally fight alongside them.
Hey, fellas!
Come on guys, y'all know they're not gonna kill Goofy. Now the next part is really fucking good, mainly for the spectacle of it all. Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Mickey split up to take on this huge ass Heartless army. This is where Sora single-handedly takes out an army of 1,000 Heartless. After this grand battle, we talk to Xemnas and ask him where Kairi and Riku is. He tells us he doesn't know of any Kairi, and as for Riku, we should ask our king. This is a glimpse of Xemnas' manipulative nature. Axel shows up and reveals the organization's plan to get their hearts back with the use of Kingdom Hearts. He also drops the plot twist that we've been helping the organization achieve their goal this whole time. Every time we defeat a Heartless with the Keyblade, we've been releasing hearts into Kingdom Hearts, which is what Organization 13 needs to complete their goal. When I heard this for the first time, I was like, oh shit, this group is different. We just defeated an army of 1,000 Heartless only to be told that killing Heartless helps the main villain's plan. Sayax appears and tells us that they now have Kairi locked up, further pissing off Sora. He then spawns even more Heartless for us to defeat, but Sora is now hesitant after hearing we're helping them. We then get very unexpected help from Maleficent. She's honestly the only reason we made it out alive. The mysterious hooded figure drops off a box. Inside that box is a sea salt ice cream, a picture of Hayner, Pence, Olette, and Roxas. This is the first time Sora has seen Roxas, but he automatically knows his name.